What's the current state of inflation and the economy, and how do you feel about where things are right now? Hello, welcome to Action News Now on this Wednesday. I'm Josh Krupa. But let us know how you feel about the current state of everything, whether it's inflation or the economy, here in the comments below if you're watching on Facebook. In the meantime, we're going to discuss all of this. 13 Action News Washington Bureau reporter Peter Zampa joins us to talk about the current state of affairs and how this could affect the 2024 campaign trail. Peter, thanks for joining us. Set the scene for us. What's the overall picture look like as we end the year here?
Yeah, well, to close out this year, we're at about 3.7% unemployment. Now, we'll get new numbers when we get to the new year, but right now, that is below that 4% target that a lot of economists in this administration have been looking at. And really throughout this year, we have remained below that 4% unemployment number. And the Biden administration has been happy to talk about that. That means joblessness is low in this country. We continue to add to payrolls. Just last month, nearly 200,000 more jobs added above expectations. So throughout the year, we've had these ups and downs when it comes to hiring, when it comes to unemployment. But for the most part, again, staying below that 4% target is a huge goal for this administration, and it's something they've been able to achieve.
And we continue to hear from our viewers about their frustrations with inflation and the Biden administration's handling of this. What is the expectation on this front heading into 2024, and what's the real picture here?
Yeah, that's right. Inflation has been the big boogeyman for this administration for most of the president's time in office. So right now, it is at one of the lowest points it's been really since the pandemic at 3.1%. Now, that is not quite to the goal of the Federal Reserve. They want to see this number get down to 2%, but 3.1 coming from where it was even last June, where it was up toward 9%. That's a huge achievement in this administration's eyes. So they continue to say, look, it's not where we want it yet. We still have work to do, but we are continuing to come down. And they acknowledge that, yes, they still need to move ahead with getting this under control, cooling off this economy. But the Federal Reserve just this month made it clear that they're holding back on raising interest rates any further. And there are some indications that next year we could see cuts to interest rates and multiple meetings. So only good news on the inflation front to close out this year.
How have you seen the president and his administration handling their messaging here on the economy?
Well, for the last few months, we've seen this administration really take its economic message on the road, touring around the country, talking about so-called Bidenomics. I know we've talked about this term a lot, but it is what the president is calling his economic vision, and he wants all Americans to hear it and to get on board with it because of some of these metrics we've been talking about. Inflation coming down, joblessness very low in this country, and he's calling that Bidenomics. He wants to take credit for everything that we are seeing in this country, and he's also doing it by pointing to legislation that has passed under his watch, like the Inflation Reduction Act or the bipartisan infrastructure bill is part of his really chief economic message, because he can point to different manufacturing plants all around this country, talk about how they're starting to build things again across America, and point to all the jobs that have been created because of it. Now, they are trying to show every American that their economic message is working, but not every American is willing to hear it right now.
Peter, finally, how do Republicans view the state of the U.S. economy, and what are some of the talking points that we could expect to hear here on the campaign trail in the next year?
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting, because it's for something so quantitative. You know, we see the numbers. We know how the economy is doing. Republicans have done a fantastic job of politicizing the economy. They have convinced voters everywhere that while inflation may be coming down, it's not good enough. That while we may have low unemployment numbers, it's not good enough in certain sectors. They have been able to convince Americans everywhere that the Biden administration is not doing what it needs to do to heat up this economy while also cooling it down. I mean, all of this dissonance we are seeing around the economic message, because they point to big ticket legislation like the Inflation Reduction Act. They talk about government spending and how it's ruining prices everywhere, at the grocery store, at the gas pump, all of these things that matter to regular everyday Americans. They're trying to convince them that those prices are too high and they would be better under a Republican administration. So Republicans, every step of the way, have tried to politicize this, and they plan on running on this in 2024, pointing at the Biden administration, saying they're not strong enough on this economy.
Peter Zampa from our Washington Bureau. Thanks for joining us, Peter.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for joining us. Our coverage continues on 13abc.com throughout the day. I'm Josh Krupa. Thank you for watching Action News Now.